Oh, can't you see? We're running out of time. You gotta lose your mind if you think you're doing fine. You can't describe it yet, but something is wrong. Where are your dreams now, and why don't you feel strong? Yeah, yeah. Every day, every night you try to find yourself. Don't live your life as someone else.
Good evening, one. Good evening, all. It is me, that H-E-A-D. Welcome to an action-packed edition of the Wrestling Matters podcast. That's right. I was going to do this separate, I'll be honest with you. I was going to do this separate, Royal Rumble. Today's show is going to be, but I'm going to put them all in together. Today's show is going to be the Royal Rumble. I'm going to talk about the Royal Rumble because I was up all night watching it as I'm doing this right now. It's Saturday. It's Sunday, the 30th of January. That was Saturday. It was on Saturday, so as I'm doing this right now, it's Sunday the 30th of January, so I might as well talk about the Royal Rumble. Also, I want to talk about Jeff Hardy as well in this episode of the podcast, and the forgotten heel turn that he had, if you could call it a heel turn, in 2003. So we're going to talk about that today. At least I'm going to have a talk about that today here on the podcast. But before we get off, hope you're doing well, whatever it is you are doing. Wrestling Matters podcast is back full-time, in case you haven't noticed, on a weekly basis as well. I'm struggling for topics as well, so if you guys got any topics, feel free to let me know them as well. I am kind of struggling for a little bit of topics. But before we get to the main story, or before we get to the main bit of today's podcast, not the Rumble, but the bit on Jeff Hardy and his forgotten heel turn, I want to talk about something I got this week in the news, something I came across this week in the news regarding Jeff Hardy, quite frankly. Now, you all know, ladies and gentlemen, you all know that this past week, or I think it was right before Christmas, Jeff Hardy got released from WWE due to an incident at a live event, or supposed incident at a live event. Okay. However, that incident, everybody thought, oh, he's back on drugs again, you know? He's back doing his thing, you know? He's back on the drugs thing again. He's back doing that garbage, you know? But apparently it wasn't. But WWE released him. So WWE released the guy, unfortunately, which was a shame. But, yeah. Well, that was before Christmas, and I believe it was before Christmas. Feel free to use that if you can. You know, feel free to what they call it, if need be. Okay. Feel free to use that. Or feel free to correct me, if you will, if need be. But I believe it was right before Christmas. Yes, it came. The incident came at a live event. I thought it was a live event, where Hardy became sluggish in a 6-man event, went on, then tagged out, and disappeared through the crowd with security following him. He was pulled from the road after the incident, and then released. Matt Hardy later stated that it wasn't due to that he didn't need rehab at this point, and that he was in a good place in his life. So basically, as soon as that happened, like I said, everybody's jumping to the conclusions. Oh yeah, let's put it in. You know, let's all make it like the freaking drugs thing. Well, apparently it wasn't about the drugs. And apparently he got it tested. But in an update, according to the Wrestling Observer, reports said that WWE Talent Relations, John Laurinaitis, a.k.a. Clown Shoes, CM Punk, called Jeff Hardy a few weeks back to talk about possibly bringing him back to the company and offered to put him in the 2022 Hall of Fame. Hardy reportedly turned that down and asked for his drug test results from when he was released in December, because he knew he wasn't going to be testing positive for any drugs. It took Hardy and his wife Beth 6 weeks to get the results back. Apparently they've already got them back. So there is a feeling that Hardy is one of the guy that WWE does not want to go to AEW. Well, you should have thought about that before fucking releasing him then, shouldn't you? Okay? You should have got him down, sat him down, and worked with the guy. You know? Worked with the guy instead of making the rash decision that you made. Oh, yeah, let's just release him because he's back on the drugs again. Jeff didn't do fuck all here, ladies and gentlemen. Jeff didn't do fuck all. WWE fucked up. Probably Laurinaitis. And now they're all panicking. Oh, Jeff's going to go to AEW and everything. Can you fucking blame him if he does? You bring him back in the most talked about WrestleMania moment in history, or in recent times at least, when they brought the Hardy Boys back. You do fuck all with him. You look to give him an opportunity to push. You know. You give him his song back, No More Words, which is the reason why he signed the contract with you in the first place, because he specifically said in an interview that he wanted No More Words back as his theme song, because you guys had the rights to it. So I thought, fuck it, to hell with the Hardy Boys song, let's get back to using that again. And now you release him because of one mistake, or supposedly one mistake, alleged one mistake. And then a couple of weeks back, you kiss his ass and say, oh, I want you back now in the company. I'll put you in the WWE Hall of Fame. You fucking spanners. Seriously. Absolute, complete spanners. You basically turned your back on him. That's what you did. That's pretty much telling you. Because if you hadn't turned your back on him, you would have kept him in the company and you wouldn't have released him. You would have tried to help him out and figure out what the fuck was going on, like a reasonable adult would do. You know? Before making rash decisions, which you've done. Because without thinking, you know, without getting all the knowledge and researching it and trying to get the truth out of it, oh, you fucking released the guy. Can you blame him for not wanting to come back? He probably never may go into the Hall of Fame again. He's obviously turned that down because he feels like that was just a whipping boy to get him back in the company. What, so you can fucking release him again? Give me a break. WWE is so stupid at times. They really are. Or the WWE, you know, the talent bust their ass. And this is why people are jumping ship. You know, look what happened with NXT. And now WWE's come out and gone, oh, we're disappointed with NXT. Really? You're disappointed with how NXT 2.0 has gone. Whose fault's that then? Because it ain't the talents. God, Bennett. No wonder Ric Flair won't go back to the company. Oh, good God. So I love being a wrestling fan, ladies and gentlemen. Sometimes being a wrestling fan can give you so much of a headache when you read garbage like this. But anyway, Jeff Hardy got offered to go back and he turned it down. And quite frankly, rightly so. That's all I'm saying on that matter. Rightly so. You know. God, it's just friggin' logic, man. Why would you release the guy in the first place? You know, like I say, sit him down and work with him. Find out what the fuck's going on. Find out why that happened. Why did he do that? You know? Just test him. Wait for the results to come back and then see that it was positive. And if you'd have got the test results, no problem. Got the test results, came back positive, then release him. But at least you have, you know, a logic, you know, bit of proof that he did fuck up on that day, December 4th. You know, he did fuck up at that live event. You know? But no, you just see the actual evidence, the video evidence, and then boom, 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 you release the guy. No wonder he won't come back. And I don't blame him. I want to come back. Like I say, WWE turned their back on Hardy. Period. You know? Like I say, the only reason he signed the contract to begin with, because I think he was tempted of leaving, But the only reason he signed the contract to begin with, because they promised him No More Words theme song. He literally said it in an interview. The only reason one of the main reasons I signed the contract, because I got No More Words. And I want that back as my theme song. Boom, he eventually got it. Boy, that was a waste of time, wasn't it, eh? Fucking hell. You know? Yeah, boy, that turned out to be a waste of fucking time. But anyway, that's my take on that situation. You know? That's my take on that whole situation. End of discussion. Right. What I'm going to do now, then, is talk about the main topic of discussion. Jeff Hardy's forgotten heel turn in WWE. Not the great heel turn, and I'll give TNA credit on this, the great heel turn that he had, you know, in TNA. Even though he was part of Hulk Hogan's Immortal group. But the great TNA, the great heel turn he had in TNA. WWE tried to turn him heel in 2003. And I believe the whole thing kicked off when he was still tagging with, floating around the mid-card area, and he was still tagging with Matt Hardy at one point. He still tagged with Matt Hardy. And, you know, Matt turned on him and became version 1. You know, became version 1. And it just went on from there, basically. They met each other again in the 2003 Royal Rumble. Matt tried to suck up to him. Jeff was having none of it. So, yeah, pretty much. And then it started getting ridiculous with this heel turn. Because Rob Van Dam and him had a match, and he beat the hell out of Rob after it. He lost the match to Rob Van Dam, Jeff Hardy. And then he started beating the hell out of Rob. And he was going to use a chair, but then he didn't do it. And then he just started getting involved in these random matches, trying to make a name for himself. For what reason, I don't know. And then he eventually got involved in a match between RVD and Kane. Randomly. Because he came down and pushed Van Dam off the apron, gets a chokeslam from Kane, and then gets a 5-star frog splash. I remember this Raw very well, actually. And then on Raw, Shawn Michaels came out to confront him and tried to give him a nice little pep talk, saying, "You're a wasted talent, kid. You're floating around the mid-card area doing fuck all, and you're trying to go out in these random matches and interfere and everything and make a name for yourself." Which was true, to be fair. And then Hardy grabbed the mic from Shawn and says, "I'm going to start kicking some ass around here. And you know what? I'm going to start with you." And it literally just walks right into a super kick. Just like literally walks right into a super kick. And I believe in that angle, that super kick, that sweet chin music, whatever the fuck you want to call it, I believe that turned, you know, that was the story that pretty much knocked some sense into Hardy, because it all led up to a tag match, which Hardy got the pin for, if I remember, because him and Shawn teamed up, and him and Shawn got the victory, and it all led to that, and then Hardy was back being a babyface. So it was the shortest attempt of a heel turn. But maybe it was one of them things where, oh, we'll turn him heel, and then he gets his streak back or win back or whatever. And I believe that also led up to Chris Jericho and Jeff Hardy at No Way Out that year, 2003. Because it was meant to be Test, because it was Test and Jericho that had the beef. But Jeff Hardy stepped in as a substitute as well. Yeah, it was just a weird heel turn. A weird heel turn. There's a video on it on the YouTube channel, which I'll drop in the description, which I found the other day. But there's really not much to talk about it. That was, if you can call it a heel turn. I don't think you can call it a heel turn, to be fair. I mean, TNA's heel turn on Jeff Hardy was more better than that. You know? And he brought a dark side. TNA brought a dark side out of him. I don't know what the fuck they were doing with WWE. You know, I don't know. Literally don't know what the hell they were doing with WWE. But yeah, it was what it was. At the end of the day, It was weird. There's no question about that. It was a weird thing they were trying to do with it. I mean, even when I saw it for the first time back in the day, even I didn't know what the fuck they were doing, you know, with it. But TNA pulled it off to a T. There's no question about that. You know, TNA pulled it off to a T. You know, pulled it off to perfection. TNA, without a doubt. Without a doubt, they pulled it. They pulled it off. They pulled it off to perfection. There's no question about that. No question about that at all. You know, they did brilliant in their. I think with TNA's heel turn compared to Jeff, I mean, obviously at that point it was hard to turn Jeff heel at that point because he was such a babyface. But I'll give credit to WWE for literally having a go. They literally had a go. But Jeff was too over at that point, too popular. TNA, I think what made the TNA heel turn work was the fact that he wasn't on his own and he was part of the They're Here faction, you know, which turned out to be Immortal. And I think they build it up so good to the point where we didn't even know it was going to be Jeff Hardy. You know, we didn't even know it was going to be Jeff. At least I didn't. Or I didn't know Jeff was going to be a part of that, which all led to the Bound for Glory angle when he turned on and beat the hell out of both of them. And then, you know, Hogan and Bischoff proclaimed Hardy as their champion. You know, and it was great. I mean, he had good matches. And heck, even the Hardy Boys reunited during that as well, because Matt came over eventually from WWE, I believe, and came in and joined forces with him as well. But it was good. That was a good heel turn. Whether you like Hogan, whether you like Bischoff or not, whether you like TNA or not, or Impact Wrestling as it's now known, you know, they did that heel turn brilliant. At this point, WWE did not know how to do it, I believe. And not only that, WWE did not know how to do, or what to do or how to do it. But not only that as well, WWE couldn't do it because at this point at least, and it still continues to this very day, whether they turn him heel or not, but at this point, at least, WWE couldn't do it because Jeff Hardy was so over. I don't think anybody wanted to boo Jeff Hardy. You know? But whoever booked or attempted to book that heel turn failed miserably. Because they didn't do it right to the point where they just had him come out and do random stuff. You know? I mean, he loses to Rob Van Dam. Beats the hell out of him after the match. Random. You don't see that from Jeff Hardy. Unless there was a turn. Unless there was something turning on that. Heck, at one point, he even came out during the Rob Van Dam Kane match. Turn. And then next minute, they turned him back babyface and everything. And he's in a romantic angle, if you can call it that, with Trish Stratus. He's flirting with Trish Stratus and that. Just incredibly weird. So, yeah. Like I say, whoever booked that, whoever came up with that idea, if it had been me, I'd have probably fired them, to be honest with you, because it didn't work. It just made Jeff, the whole attempt just made Jeff look weird. You know, TNA pulled that off. No question about that. TNA pulled that off, without a doubt. Without a doubt. No question about that. TNA pulled that off. But yeah, that's my take on the whole attempt of Jeff Hardy turning heel. If you could call it that. The whole attempt of Jeff Hardy turning heel. As well. So yeah, that was pretty much it. But you know what, guys? Like I say, I'm a man of my word when it comes to this. we're gonna do the Royal Rumble from yesterday. Now, I watched the Royal Rumble all night. It was weird. There's some good stuff that happened. I'm not going to sit here and bash the whole show. There was some good stuff that happened. If I'll go through what I remember, because I don't think it's worth that watch. Worth that. Going over really. There was some good stuff. I mean, one of the bad things was they kicked off with the Universal title match, Roman and Seth. Seth came out with with the Shield gimmick, getting in Roman's head. And it was a good match, and even the highlight was Seth powerbombed him through the table, powerbombed Roman through the table, Shield style. But the weird point of that match was the ending. Roman got disqualified. Seth won the match, but Roman got disqualified. So I'm guessing going into the Elimination Chamber in February 19th, I'm guessing they're going to do another match. I'm guessing it. Unless Seth is a part of the Elimination Chamber, which I highly doubt. As well, which I highly doubt. I don't know if they're going to do Elimination Chamber. I don't see them doing an Elimination Chamber with the Universal title. I see them doing it with the WWE title, to be honest with you. That's just my view. That's just my view on that. And I think we're already going to know, with the winners of the Royal Rumble, I think we're already going to know who they're going for anyway, before long. So yeah, that's the way I see that. Just my take on that. The Raw Women's title match. Look, I love Becky, and I love Doudrop as well, Viper from ICW. Doudrop deserves an opportunity. There's no question about that. She deserves what she's getting at the moment. Becky Lynch is Becky Lynch. She's great. I did not like that match. I thought it was flat. I think that if there was ever a worst thing of that night, it just didn't work. That I wouldn't say that's the worst match of the night, because it might be a bit harsh on them. They did their best and did what they could with it, but yeah, it wasn't the best match. It wasn't the best. It was average at best. But I think we all know where Becky Lynch is going to WrestleMania in respects of the Raw Women's title anyway. More on that in a second. Edge and Beth Phoenix versus the Miz and Maurice was a fun match. It was a they got serious beforehand, and then they just thought, fuck it, we'll give them a fun match to calm them down a little bit. We'll give the fans a fun match to calm them down a little bit, and then we'll go from there, which it did. And Edge and Beth won the match, as I knew they would. I mean, let's get serious. When was the last time Miz and Maurice had a mixed tag match where they won? The last one was with Nikki Bella and John Cena at WrestleMania, and they didn't win. So we all knew. So it doesn't take a genius to work that out, that they weren't gonna win that match. And Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar was a great match, but overbooked, because Roman came down, speared Brock. Paul Heyman handed the belt, the WWE title, to Roman. Roman hit Brock with the championship, and Bobby pins him and gets the belt. And he's now the new WWE champion once again. Yeah. And in the men's Royal Rumble, we had Johnny Knoxville. Bad Bunny showed up. Shane McMahon, we already knew. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle killing it. But the number 30 entrant was Brock Lesnar. And Brock won the Royal Rumble. And now he's going to go on to WrestleMania. So we're all going to get it whether we like it or not. No, it's not going to be title for title. But we're all going to get it. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, WrestleMania. Universal title. And I believe that's where this whole tribal chief thing is going to end. Because Brock is going to conquer Roman Reigns. Should Roman survive Elimination Chamber, which he probably will. So, yeah. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, WrestleMania for the Universal title. Now, to the women's one, I hate to say this, but I think the women's match was better than the male's match. I'm sorry. Because there was a lot of people in there. There was a lot of people, a lot more surprises in the women's match than there was in the male's match. You know, Molly Holly showed up, Melina returned, Mickie James showed up, which was cool with her knockout women's title. We already knew that one anyway, but you know, it was still cool to see it. Cool to see anyway. It was still cool to see. Who else? Nikki Ash becoming a craving lunatic as well. Also seen an old rivalry between Mickie James and what's her face? Michelle McCool. Yes, Michelle McCool was in there too. But the story of the night is Ronda Rousey. She's back. And Ronda Rousey won the Royal Rumble. I'll say that again. Ronda Rousey won the Royal Rumble. And Ronda Rousey is going to WrestleMania. And Ronda Rousey is going to face the women's champion. And I believe Ronda Rousey is going to face the Raw women's champion. Because 2 years ago, the last time we saw Ronda Rousey, she lost the Raw women's title to Becky Lynch in that triple threat match. We haven't seen Ronda Rousey since. That I'm aware of. I could be wrong on that. But I believe that was the last chance, because then she went on a tirade saying the WWE was fake and this and this and this. You know? So yeah. I don't know if that could be the case in that respect. But what else do you do with Ronda in this point? Sorry, I was just typing something out there. But what else do you do with Ronda in this point? What else do you do with Ronda at this point? Let's be honest. Ronda Rousey is back. She wins the Royal Rumble. What the fuck else do you do with her? Go on to WrestleMania to face Becky Lynch. I gotta admit, and this is just me being honest, I wasn't expecting her to return. I didn't think she'd ever come back after the tirade she had, calling out wrestling fans, berating wrestling fans, calling out, saying that wrestling is fake and whatever, you know, and all that. What it is what it is. So I don't know where the hell are we going with that. So yeah, that about wraps that up, guys. Wraps that up. Very. Have to wait and see how all that pans out, though. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see how. We'll have to wait and see how all of that pans out. It's just crazy, though. But I believe Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, WrestleMania. Brock Lesnar, Roman Reigns, WrestleMania. Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, WrestleMania also. And hopefully this time they won't add Charlotte to it. Fuck knows what Charlotte's going to do. You know? I don't know what fuck Charlotte's going to do. I really don't. I really don't know what Charlotte's going to be doing. She was the SmackDown Women's Champion. She came runner-up in the Rumble. That's another thing. But I'm sure we'll find out. I'm sure there'll be something there for her. I'm sure she'll have to defend the women's title at WrestleMania, but against who? I'm sure as well, SmackDown Women's Title Elimination Chamber 2. But we'll see. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast as well. I will be back next week. Until then, like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. And, yeah. I was going to do this separate with talking about Jeff Hardy and then talk about the Royal Rumble, but I thought, fuck it. So, put it all in one. So, we'll see what happens, guys. I don't know what I'm going to be doing next week. You just have to tune in to find out. So, until then, guys, have fun. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll see you next week. Peace.
Can't you see?